Well, it's time now for looking at what's grabbing headlines in the French press with Florence Vimino. Hello there. We'll start in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal in the United States. There's been a major debate here in France on sexual harassment in the workplace, in the entertainment industry, in politics, and now even high school students are also making their voices heard.
That's right. Yesterday, high school students in Pontoise, which is a town north of Paris, held a protest in front of their school. You can see a photo of that protest on the front page of Le Parisien, talking about la révolte des lycéennes, so the revolt of the female high school students. In this photo, though, you can see there were female students, also male students. The aim of this protest is to sound the alarm on sexual harassment happening in French schools. Some of these students say they're being harassed on school grounds, in classrooms, sometimes in front of teachers as well. You might be able to see this banner here in the photo. It says, "Stop sexism, stop harassment."
Now, it's the first time we've seen such protest here in France. Le Parisien applauding the students for having the courage to speak out.
They are daring to speak out against harassment. That's what Le Parisien says here. You can see a photo here. This is 18-year-old Shane Lee. She actually wrote an appeal on Facebook that sparked this protest in Pontoise. But in this article, Le Parisien interviews students really around France. And the statistics are quite alarming. Female students say that they're the victims of much more than just verbal abuse. It can be physical as well, and it's not just in high schools. You can see that figure over there, 7.6. That's the percentage of middle school students who say they've experienced some sort of forced touching, forced fondling. This according to a recent study by the Ministry of Education. According to the same study, 5.3% of middle school students say that they've experienced forced kisses. Now, many of the female students interviewed in this article say, you don't really want to speak up about these issues. One of them says, when you say something, you come across as kind of a loser who's seen as making trouble for nothing. Now, some students say that they're completely fed up with this kind of harassment that they're experiencing, and they want concrete action from school authorities. Some schools have actually taken matters into their own hands, offering special training to teachers to learn how to deal with cases of sexual harassment.
Moving on to politics now. Emmanuel Macron has been president for 7 months. Some papers still not entirely sure who he is.
Who is Macron, and what is he all about? 7 months later, L'Opinion is still trying to figure him out. L'Opinion, keep in mind, is a pro-business paper, but not a big fan of Emmanuel Macron. You can see this cartoon here on the front page. This is taking place at the Élysée Museum, which sounds like an awesome museum, but maybe they'll make it happen someday. And you can see this man explaining just what we're seeing here. It shows Macron as the Hindu goddess Kali, Kali known for having several arms. You can see Macron here, though, juggling all sorts of contradictory symbols. And the guy is saying, here we have Kali, the Kali, the god of preservation, transformation, and destruction. So that all sounds very contradictory. L'Opinion says that 7 months after the election, Macronisme remains very elusive. It's a portmanteau word where anyone can put everything they want into it. And you can indeed see some quite contradictory symbols here. You might be able to see the symbol for recycling there, but right underneath it, there's the symbol for nuclear energy. You might also see the socialist rose, also the symbol for Les Républicains, the Conservative Party.
And a few familiar heads there around the belt as well, just topped off for good measure. The Conservative paper Le Figaro is saying, though, that Macron really just stole everything from the right-wing party.
They're talking about the great appropriation today in their editorial. If we take a look, it says, look, if you actually take a look at Macron's program when it comes to spending, education, security, immigration, the reform of the labor code, all these are ideas that the right has been championing for years. But Le Figaro says that Macron was just lucky to benefit from a moment when public opinion was ready to accept it. So essentially, Le Figaro is saying all these are our ideas, but he's just a lucky guy. Now, Le Figaro does point out that conservatives are, many of them might be tempted to follow the president because, indeed, some of his ideas are very conservative. Meanwhile, leaders of Les Républicains are trying to figure out what to do with their party, and the party is completely fragmented. You can see this symbol here showing all the different directions that different leaders are trying to pull the party, because of course the party is trying to figure out how to be a real opposition to La République En Marche, the president's party. But since he's taken a lot of their ideas, you can see some of them want to take the party more to the left, some more to the right, so they're just trying to figure out how they should respond as well.
A spectrum of Republicans from Le Figaro there. The president, meanwhile, moving ahead with the reforms that he promised during the campaign. One of the things that he promised to do was reduce the number of French lawmakers lawmakers. Libération taking a look at that.
Indeed, and essentially the president met with the upper and lower house parliament presidents yesterday to kind of kick off this reform, but it's a big debate. You can see Libé looking at the pros and the cons. What's interesting is this is not a money-saving measure. The budget allocated to the upper and lower houses of parliament will remain the same, but essentially it'll give more money to each lawmaker to be, I guess you could say, a little bit more efficient. There's a lot of cons as well, though, because it'll mean there'll be fewer representatives, and therefore some areas of France just probably won't have their voices heard. And also, it means that the political makeup of the upper and lower house won't be as rich. Now, let's end on something that's not political, though. It is almost Christmas time. Christmas. So let's take a look at the Catholic paper, Croix, which has instructions for how to have a simple Christmas. Because, of course, sometimes it's easy to forget what Christmas is all about. So Croix has actually asked 5 people how to celebrate Christmas, how to keep it happy, how to keep it also in moderation. And actually, that's a key.
It's a sensible message.
It's a very sensible.
Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation.
Thank you very much for that look through the French papers. You're watching France 24. We'll have more headlines in a moment. Do stay with us for that.